Hello everyone, thanks for tuning to Sin's Workshop. I hope you are all having a wonderful day. So, today we are going to be reviewing All Better Now by Neal Shusterman. First off, I've never read Neal Shusterman before. I have not read any of his books. So this is my introduction to him. And let me just say, now I'm even more excited to read his other works. This was amazing. Once again, I want to say a huge thank you to Simon Teen for sending me a final proof copy of the book. Absolutely phenomenal. I'm keeping it. I usually tend to donate some of the ARCs that I get, the final proof ones, but I'm gonna keep this one because this is really, really good. Now, oh, I left my bookmark in here. Kind of need that. This was so good. It was my 30-page a day read for the month of February. And boy, I didn't really know what to expect when I was reading this. So pretty much the premise of this book in All Better Now is there's this virus, another pandemic. It's called the Crown Royale virus. And what it does is it makes you happy. And you would think, oh, maybe that's not just a bad thing, but I mean, people just... it's like a mind, okay, pardon my language, this book is kind of like a mind fuck, because it makes you really, really think about it. If you survive the virus, you find total bliss, total happiness, you're totally content, but that means you don't feel things like fear or anger or resentment, and no anxiety. And it's kind of, when you think about it, when I was reading, I'm like, damn, as someone who, is sometimes, I am manic depressive, and I do tend to suffer from anxiety, and I do tend to have episodes every so often, more often than I'd like. It's just, I'm sitting here and I am totally empathizing with the character Ron, because he suffers from depression and he's had many suicide attempts. It's not explicitly said, but it is, alluded to, especially one scene in the hospital that he's remembering with his father. Clearly he's suicidal and he has anxiety and he doesn't want to be like this. So I completely empathize. So he willingly gets infected because he's like, well, if I die, I die. But you know what? I'm kind of tired living the way I am now. And the shift in him, the change in him, it's just, wow. And you kind of empathize, but then you also see the other perspective, because then he doesn't, I don't want to see there's a lack of drive. Something else is driving him now, but it puts a lot of things in perspective. You kind of need a healthy dose of fear. You kind of need a healthy dose of anger. You kind of do need a healthy dose of those, negative emotions, perfect balance. So what does it mean when everyone in the world is slowly becoming happy? It's wild. It's absolutely wild. And then you have Marilyn. I want to make sure I'm saying her name right. Not Morgan. We'll talk about Morgan in a second. But, Marielle. I don't know what I was thinking. Oh, thinking of a different book. Marielle. So, she's, completely immune. And has a natural immunity, so she cannot get infected, despite really wanting to be infected, because she just wants to have that bliss. And she soon begins a relationship with, Ron, and his name is Tiburon, so we just call him Ron. She begins to see maybe all this complete happiness, bliss thing is not healthy. Maybe it's not conducive. And she sees both sides to it, and I think that that's really, really it puts a lot of the book into perspective. And I think that that's really, really clever with Shusterman's writing, with the various characterizations and the various point of views, because this is a multiple POV novel. Some characters like Marielle, Huron, and Morgan, who Morgan's just, whoo, she is a piece of work. Let me tell you. I want to hate her, but I don't. She's just overly ambitious, and she likes the negative emotions to an extent. And if you read the novel, you'll see the extent. She believes in, drive and ambition. She believes in having a really good, healthy dose of fear. And it's just wild. It's wild. And there's a lot of interludes, so every part of the story, because the story is broken up into, I want to say 6 or 7 parts. I love these chapter titles too. Well, you were out. Or what Glass Hath Wrought. Let's see. I want to say there's 6 or 7 parts to this. It's not a particularly thick book, as you can see. It's only, let's see. I can tell you, it's about 510 pages. So, a little bit more. Here we go. I think this is the last part. So, part 7. Naked Before the Universe. So, it's 7 parts. And at the beginning of each part, you have somewhere that's elsewhere in the world. And it gives you perspective of what's going on and how this virus is affecting the rest of the world and what is going on, and how this event, kind of foreshadows something that's going to happen. It kind of hints at how these characters are really going to have to face this next part. There's a lot of foreshadowing. There's a lot of really good characterization. And even characters like Tiburon's father, he gets a couple of chapter perspectives. I want to say maybe 5, but it's enough, really. It's enough to drive the story, and again, it gives you perspective on the story and on the character dynamics and on everything that has to do with the Crown Royale virus, It's just so well thought out, this novel, and it really makes you think. I didn't know what I was gonna... This isn't the normal realm of books, but it's definitely a dystopian. Kinda, sorta. And this isn't the normal book that I would pick up. So once again, this is why I love getting ARCs from publishers, because it kind of pushes me to get out of my normal comfort zone and read something that I wouldn't normally pick up. Because, I'm like, oh, okay, let me just, see what it's about. And when it comes to ARCs that publishers send me, I'm just like, okay, I have to see what this is about. You sent it to me so I can read and review, so now I'm going to read and review it. Hence this. So this is why I really like getting ARCs, because it really just pushed me out of my young adult fantasy and then epic, adult fantasy realm that I tend to live in, because I do love cozy mysteries, and I love, mystery thrillers. I freaking love horror and sci-fi. But this is not something based on this cover that I would be like, oh yeah, I'm totally gonna read this book. Although this cover's kind of trippy. Little trippy. But it's such a well done book. It's so I just have to say, read it. Honestly, it took me by surprise. I didn't know what was going to happen next. I was engaged from beginning to end. I was hooked. It keeps making me think, I just keep thinking about it, man, would our world be better if everyone was just happy? Because you see people who were militants who get infected with the virus, and it's not like it completely just changes them. It just removes the negativity. So they still have ambitions, but they're driven by something else. It makes you think. It makes you think, is that utopia possible, or isn't it? Because then you're going to have people like Morgan who are going to constantly be fighting against that, but you get why. And you're just for me, I'm just oh, I see both perspectives, and I just, it gets you. It gets you for sure. So yeah, definitely highly recommend this book. If you want to check it out, of course, I will include links in the description. And on that note, thank you all for tuning in and listening and watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with all your book loving friends. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, happy reading.